Jeff from Two Hacks Garage. Well, I'm back up at Kyle's. This car hasn't been on film for a while, but there's been a whole lot going on with it. This is that 1968 GTO, the big bad green machine. It's got that Kaufmann headed Holley Sniper EFI Pontiac engine in it. Makes a whole lot of power, whole lot of torque. And one thing with that is when you do that, well, things are going to fail. And the big failure point on this car down the road would end up being the stock 10 bolt. So what Kyle did was, since he got new drag radials and everything else on this car, if this thing was to hook, well, there's going to be bad things happening in the back there, and we don't want that to happen. So since it's winter time, it's time to do some upgrades on this car. And as you can see, Kyle got a lift. We installed that a few weeks ago. So right now, what we're going to do today is we're going to install a new rear end. Kyle just got it in. Kyle, what'd you get?
So I went with the GM 12 bolt. Now, as everybody knows, there are, well, I guess we'll just start with the three main choices, right? You got your Dana 60, you've got your GM 12 bolt, and of course you have your Ford 9-inch. I would have been happy with any one of those. In fact, at different times, those were, right, I was trying to get the Dana 60, but then I'd maybe have concerns of additional costs or additional questions about, is it going to work with my existing suspension because I have coilovers set there? How much of a headache was that going to cause me? In the end, for me, the 12 bolt was going to be the most cost efficient and still meet my goal of getting the additional strength that I want, still being able to use the brakes that I have on it today. So at the end of the day, the 12 bolts where I landed, it's going to meet my goals power-wise and will save me a little bit on the pocketbook. Obviously, isn't as good strength-wise as either of the other two that I mentioned. And isn't as good for changing gears, but I also don't plan on changing gears all that much, so I can live with that and save a little money for the next project. So today is the 12 bolt. It's actually the first time we're using the lift, so I'm kind of excited about that too.
I tell you what, Kyle, let's go take a look at that rear end real quick, show you what you got.
Let's do it.
All right, so here's the new rear end that Kyle got. I'll let him explain kind of what the upgrades are versus over the stock 10 bolt.
So this is a Mosier GM 12 bolt, and really, obviously it's designed off the 12 bolt, but everything about it is better. From the tubes and what they accept from axle sizes to the larger bearings that are installed in there. I think it's the Ford bearing. Different designs inside the housing that improve the strength, and the raising of the upper control mount, similar to the anti-hop bars, raises that center and possibly increases traction, less wheel hop, things like that. This particular build, these are Yukon axles with a Yukon differential and Yukon gear, and I also have the additional brace on the back for additional strength. But I think this is going to be one of those things that once we put it in, it's going to be a set it and forget it.
Yep, I agree with that. I highly doubt you're going to be able to break this one, and if you do, well, you know what, then it's time to upgrade. And speaking of upgrades, we're planning on down the road a whole lot more things with this car to make it go a whole lot faster. It's already extremely fast, so in order to go fast, you need solid, strong parts. And what we're going to do, since it's going to be a long day, we're going to go ahead and get working. But as you can see, since last time you saw it, Kyle, he went ahead and got Weld wheels and Mickey Thomspon front runners on there. Really nice look. And on the back, well, same thing. Mickey Thomspon wheel or tires. These are the drag radials, the 275/60/15s, and Weld wheels out back. So I have a feeling this car is probably not going to 100% hook. It does have a whole lot of power, but it's going to be a whole lot better. And as you can see underneath here, it is that stock BOP style 10 bolt, and we're going to yank that today, and we're going to put in something a whole lot stronger.
It's the smaller one at that. Not that, the later 10 bolts can be built to pretty strong, but this is I believe this is the 7.6 from all the identification that I went through on it. And even, build it up as much as you want. It's probably, you get it to 400 horsepower. After that, you're on borrowed time.
And by the way, guys, it's got Doug Thorley headers with cutouts. Sounds pretty rowdy. See you in a minute. right, what we got going on here, so we got the old rear end out, as you saw, came out pretty easy. And now, mind you, in the back of this car, it does have Viking coilover kit. It's got their whole brace bar in the back. It's got their upper adjustable ones and all that fun jazz. So it is set up already pretty good. Same thing with the hardened lowers and all that. So this is gonna, fingers crossed, be an easy bolt-in for this. But what we got going on over here, oh, it's also got the front tubular adjustable coilover setup in the front, and it's pretty nice. Willwood disc brakes also. It's also got the disc brakes on the back. So what we got going on here is we did a little bit of stuff before we put this in. You can see the disc brake ears from the other package. Cleaned them up, repainted them, got them on here. Also, if you look here, we took out the control arm bushings on the top that came with it. They were rubber, and we put poly ones in there. So this is what we got going on. We're just getting this rear end prepped while it's on the ground to go up in there. And as you can see, this is a really, really solid setup. Like Kyle said, it is a Mosier housing. It's built to the hilt, and it should be very, very, very strong for this car. Looking forward to see what it'll do. So while Kyle's sitting there long stroking it, we'll be back in a few. All right, well, we got it done, and as you can see, everything went pretty well. Mad Dog Kenny showed up to help. We were able to use the factory, or not the factory, but the aftermarket disc brakes that we did put on this a while ago. And we got custom brackets here for the Viking coilover kit, and the sway bar bolted up to it, along with the aftermarket lower control arm. So everything did go pretty well. There were some adjustments that needed to be made. This lift really came in handy. But as you can see, this is a pretty hefty 12-bolt unit here. Very, very nice. It's going to hold up pretty well. See you in a few. All right, well, we're going to call today. We got it done. Well, everything's done minus getting a U-joint. There's a specialty one we got to get for this. Kyle went ahead and ordered that. And the other thing is the studs are a different size. The factory ones were 7/16/20, and these are 1/2 by 20. So Kyle went ahead and ordered the proper shanks from Weld Wheels for that. But as you see, everything went pretty well. I'm going to let Kyle say the rest. It's his car. And what do you think, Kyle? Think it went well?
I think not only did it go well, it was a fun day. It's been a while since we've gotten together to wrench. Had Kenny here with us today, and it was just makes it a fun day. I think the hardest part about all of this is we know this thing's going to sit for several months yet still before we get it back out on the road to break it in and get to use it. So that's the worst part of all. But again, the good news is successful day. It looks great. I can't wait to test it out. So
it's going to be pretty neat. Like I said, all we got to do is get the proper shanks for this, get that U-joint in, get it put in place. Everything's been torqued down, fluid's been put in. Probably have to check the pinion angle again. But you know what? Kyle said it is the worst thing in the world. We live in Illinois, central Illinois, and this time of year, even when you have a nice day, really can't go out. It's like salt flats out there. So yeah, but at least when it's nice out, you'll be able to take it out, test these Mickey Thomspons out properly, see how that rear end works, and go from there.
Won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but overall, successful, long day. But you know what? It's beaten sitting inside doing nothing, and it's always good to wrench with friends. So with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and see you tomorrow. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up on Project Fastball, Jeffrey's little mini bike. He just called me. He's got a flat tire, so God, who knows what he did to cause that. So, yeah, we'll catch you later on this week. Later.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.